Are sneakerheads holding themselves back, or are things just changing? We're going to talk about that and more this time on Fire Footwear. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Fire Footwear. As always, I am your host, Matt. I want to welcome you back. If this is not your first time, if this is your first time, whether it's in audio or whether it is on YouTube, I want to thank you for stopping by, staying here, and for everybody who has stayed here. It means the world to me. I will say that every episode because this is episode 181, and while that is small compared to others in the space, the fact that I'm still here, the fact that you're still listening means the world. So a little peek behind the curtain. I came up here to this attic studio, something that I have retrofitted since I moved in here. And this happens from time to time, but I actually had another idea. I wanted to talk about something completely differently. And as I was thinking about it over the course of the day, I realized that there was something else on my mind. And I've been seeing a lot of chatter over the last few weeks, months, maybe even the last year, about how things have changed in the sneaker world, how sneakers are dead so many times over, how people are not buying the way that they used to, shoes are sitting, all of that. And I think what we tend to try to do, much like last time with pricing, is we try to find a solution. We try to think about every facet of it, and we attempt to create some panacea that's going to fix the market. So what is happening? I think what is happening objectively is that the sneaker market, sneaker culture, I think has sort of been filtered out a little bit. We talked about this in recent episodes, and I think when you look at the decline of the retro, I hypothesize that the retro is declining for a couple of reasons. One, I think that the people who are buying them are aging, and I also believe that the fact that they are older means that they probably have these retros. As a matter of fact, I need to shout out my friend Kari, who commented on the fact that he had Air Max 95 fatigue. I think that that's real. I think that fatigue on shoes, especially when we've had so many releases over the past, I don't even know year or 2 years, I think that it's natural for people to have diminishing returns on how they feel about it. But one thing that I don't see talked about, I do see people talking about how Nike is down. I'm one of those people, but I also don't see a lot of people talking about the why. I don't see a lot of people talking about the fact that runners are big and lifestyle shoes that used to be runners are also big, and that retros are down, but a lot of other collaborations that are Asics, New Balance, Saucony, you name it, they are flying off the shelves. And it got me to thinking in totality, as I always do here. It's never just one facet. It's never just black and white. There's always many facets to it. And when I think about it, I started thinking about myself. I started thinking about you. I started thinking about the people that probably listen to this show, the demographics of it, the whole kit and caboodle. I'm 43 years old. As many of you know, I'm pushing toward 44. I'm a young person in my mind, but when it comes to life expectancy, I'm middle-aged now. 43 is middle-aged. I have the gut to prove it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're on the decline. I think in previous generations, my dad's a perfect example. He was ancient when he turned 40. I don't feel ancient. As a matter of fact, I didn't start doing this until almost 40 years old. And at 43, I don't feel like I'm going to stop anytime soon. I love doing this. I love sneakers too. And I think that people who are in my age bracket, who have been in it for longer than I have, are getting probably fatigued on certain elements of it. I think when you look at the sneaker culture as a whole and you look at the market, you look at what's available, you're starting to see a shift. And that shift is going toward more models, I think, that are going to stand the test of time. And there's one word that comes to mind that I believe is the driving force behind all of this, and that word is comfort. People in their 40s who either look like me, bigger than me, smaller than me, at some point in time, no matter what you've done, no matter how you've taken care of your body is going to fail you. As we get older, we generally tend to find comfort and look for comfort in many facets of our life. We want to feel comfortable at our job. We want to feel comfortable in our home. We want to feel comfortable with a partner. We want to feel comfortable in our car. Everything is about getting to a place where we feel comfortable, not complacent, comfortable. There is a difference there. Comfort we seek because it feels good. It feels familiar, and we can step into comfort every single day and feel good about it. We don't feel worried. We don't feel like that comfort is going to betray us because we have created it. We have fostered it. I think that applies to sneakers too. It's not just physical comfort. I think it also is emotional, mental comfort. That is why, to me, Asics, Kayanos, and Sauconys, and many New Balances, I think that they're ruling the day now because I believe that those models, those silhouettes, have stood the test of time. And now, much like the Eye of Sauron, for all of you Lord of the Rings nerds, the Eye of Sauron has shifted from Nikes and Jordans, and they've gone over to these models because it knows that people are aging that are in this as a whole, and it also knows that even young people, they aren't about fashion the way that we used to be. They don't buy shoes because it's going to make them cool. Is there a certain part of it that does do that? Yes, of course. There's always going to be people that are urging to fit in. But I think overall, they don't carry the same nostalgia. Sneakers don't carry the same weight that they used to. When you had a cool pair of shoes or you had a jersey, I'll never forget when my parents finally broke down and bought me a Drew Bledsoe starter jersey. Drew Bledsoe was my guy before Tom Brady ever came along. I remember when the Patriots drafted him, his number 11 jersey, that's when they switched from Pat the Patriot to the Flying Elvis. And I love those starter uniforms. I wanted one. And when my parents finally broke down and bought me one, it was a huge deal. And I wore it every chance that I could because I wanted people to think that I was cool. You hear a lot of stories about people talking about their parents having to go to Payless, not being able to afford the cool shoes, and how there was a shame that was associated with that. I don't think young people care about that anymore. And I think now that the bell curve of people that are in the culture, 43 is probably on the slightly younger side. I think that if you look at the average age, it probably skews a little bit older. Those people are seeking out comfort more than recognition, more than clout. There are people in this game and in the social media game and in the content game that are, of course, looking for clout. We do this for a reason other than just pure love of it, and I've copped to that before. I want to create a community. I want people to hear what I have to say, and I want people to enjoy what I have to say. That doesn't mean that what I do isn't something that I love. It just means that there is an ulterior motive. It doesn't have to be malicious. It just is there. But I think your average sneaker person, probably even people who are listening to this, they do it because they love it and they want to feel good in what they are wearing. And look, Jordan Retros, I've railed against this for years. Jordan Retros, in many respects, are not comfortable. In many respects, the technology hasn't caught up with where we are today. Whereas a gel Kayano was comfortable back 10 years ago, still comfortable today by many standards. You don't have to put a ton of foam in a shoe for it to be deemed comfortable. I think that for it being a runner and for other shoes like it, I believe that being a runner meant that it was going for function, of course. As a former marathon runner, that's what I was looking for. But also, even with function, what does everybody want to feel when they're running? They want their feet to feel comfortable. Whether you're running 1 mile or 26.2 miles or 100 miles, your shoes matter because your body needs to have something that's going to withstand that pounding. Even if you're doing CrossFit or you're weightlifting or any other type of athletic endeavor, your shoes need to feel comfortable on your feet. Whether they're technologically advanced or not, they need to feel comfortable. And as you're getting into your 40s, as your back starts to hurt, as your knees start to creak, you want something that's going to make you feel better. And somebody who, like me, who is having a hip replacement at age 43, comfort should be paramount. But the only reason that it's not for me is because I wore those shoes to run marathons and I can't detach myself from the way that I felt when I wore them. The utilitarian nature of how I use them and also the connection that they have to my lame father wearing them. You know what I mean? But that's not the same for everybody. And I've been trying to embrace this more. And I think that that goes back to also nostalgia. The people that have not embraced runners are not all like me. They're not all people who can't get into it because they see these shoes as something else. I think that a great reason why people are not getting into runners and why people maybe haven't even embraced them, especially if they're not in content, is nostalgia. I did a reel on Instagram talking about how nostalgia is a great thing. It can be a great thing. It can also be extremely limiting. It can also hold us back. And I think when you look at Nike and Jordan brand, I do believe that they are continuing to traffic in nostalgia because they believe that's what's going to keep them in the front. The nostalgia alone, as we get further and further away from the history and from the debut of these shoes, it's not going to continue to hold. I heard somebody say that Jordan brand is a legacy brand now. And if you remember, I did an episode way back talking about how at some point in time, Jordan brand and Nike was going to have to move on from Michael Jordan because Michael Jordan's history is not just going to continue to carry. And at the rate that we're going with the way that retros are sitting, I think that that's becoming more and more true every day. No matter what Spike Lee says that Michael Jordan's more relevant now than when he played, it's just not true. Most people younger than me didn't get to see him play, didn't even remember when he was a Washington Wizard. And that history is just going to continue to get older and older. But one thing that's not going to get older is the concept of comfort. One thing that is not going to get older is the idea that people always want to be comfortable. The younger people in the game are going to get older. Their joints are going to creak, and they too are going to want comfort. Again, comfort, I think, is going to rule the day because it's not something that's ever going to change. What makes people comfortable might change. What they seek out for comfort might change, but the concept of being comfortable will never go out of style. People want to be comfortable in every facet of their life at some point in time. And while Jordans and Nikes and all those silhouettes that are from yesteryear, from the 80s, from the 90s, that technology will continue to age. If Nike and Jordan brand doesn't update them to today's times in some way, even keeping them looking the way that they do, they're going to get passed by. And these Asics, these New Balance, these Sauconys, all of these lifestyle former running shoes are going to remain on people's minds, and people are going to want to spend money on them because they work and because their prices really haven't gone up. To tie it back to last week's episode, Jordan Retros, those have gone up. Maybe not at the rate that people think that they have, but they've gone up. But a lot of New Balances have always been $200. And a lot of other Sauconys and Asics, they've stayed at what feels like an affordable price, especially compared to what we get with Jordans. If you're somebody who loves the Jordan 4 but finds it uncomfortable, no matter what colorway comes out, the comfort and the discomfort is going to actually outweigh the nostalgia. But for an Asics Kayano, which should always be comfortable, well, a fire colorway and another one and so forth, the comfort mixed with the care that they're putting into these colorways, mixed with the fire nature of how they are presenting these, the storytelling that they're starting to do even more with these, I throw my hands up if I'm Nike and Jordan brand, because it just means that we are going to have to think outside the box. Does it mean that Jordan brand is done? No, it doesn't, because they're still making money hand over fist. But what it does mean is that they're going to have to solve for the comfort equation. And I think if they get complacent, which to me is the antithesis and the barrier to progress, then Nike is also going to be a legacy brand as it relates to sneaker culture specifically. But these other brands that are putting the care toward these models and they are making sure that comfort is at the forefront, they'll never be complacent because they're going to win at some point. All of us at some point will want to be comfortable. We seek comfort, and we may do it by getting away from what we've always liked, by severing nostalgia and going after a utilitarian shoe that will always stand the test of time. I hope this finds everybody well. Hope this finds everybody safe. and I'll talk to you next time. This is Fire Footwear.